Hey everyone, welcome back to Shadowkeepers. Today's Reddit stories where true crime meets the truly terrifying. I'm Lee.
And I'm Bee. Tonight we're diving into some of the scariest real life events shared online. Stories that are chilling, not because they're made up, but because they actually happened.
From dangerous strangers, these true crime tales will definitely make you double check your locks tonight.
So settle in, stay alert, and remember, sometimes the real world is scarier than any ghost story. This Redditor's story is, I would call it creepy more than scary, but my mom's friend had a small house and lived alone. She noticed weird things. A batch of soup depleting faster than usual, missing eggs, damp towels in the hamper when she hadn't used any, extra dishes in the dishwasher, etc. This went on for months. She thought she was just being forgetful. One day, she heard some thumping around in her attic and went to investigate, which I'm not doing that. I'm not investigating nowhere by myself.
I mean, if you don't have a choice and you're the only person there, you might have to.
I'm gonna knock on a neighbor's door.
When I woke up one day, Jay was at work, nobody was at home. I woke up in the morning, I made tea, and then crash downstairs. And I'm like, what the fuck? This is 9:30 in the morning. So I had to get courage, come downstairs, investigate. First, I investigated upstairs to see what fell. Then I came downstairs. I come in the laundry room, and it's like all these tin foils I had, which has been there for, I'm telling you, years, sitting there in its spot, never before moved. And suddenly that morning, it decides to crash and fall when I'm by myself. So sometimes you have to investigate
I
by
don't.
yourself.
I don't, cause like sometimes I'll be sitting in bed and then the baby will come and then I'll hear something in the shower fall. And he's like, "Did you hear that?" I'm like, "Yeah." He said, "You can go look to see what it is." I'm like, "Nope, I'm leaving that alone."
No, I investigate.
Then he'll turn on all the lights and then he'll go look. He's like, "Oh yeah, the body wash fell." I was like, "Yeah, that sounds about right."
The one time that we got broken into and we were at work, I come home, the back door's wide open, the lights downstairs is on, everything, and I thought, because Jay went to work after me, I'm like, "Did he forget and leave the lights on and the door open?" Like, it didn't even cross my mind that somebody broke in my house. I investigated, and then I called Jay and I'm like, "I think you need to come home now because our whole room is trashed. Like, everything is trashed, the door's open in the back." He's like, "Call the police, I'm on my way." So I called them, they're like, "Next time, just stay outside, don't investigate." And I'm like, it never crossed my mind I got broken into. I
Yeah.
thought it was a mistake from Jay because he went to work after me, and it just just out of his mind, like he was tired or something and forgot. But when I saw my room completely trashed, I knew that he didn't do that. So, I'm an investigator. I don't know, I can't help myself. So, yeah, like, my stupid ass investigates. Like, that's what I do.
I talk a lot of trash, but I do investigate too. And Tony tells me the same thing. I'll be like, "Oh my God, the alarm is going off." So I'll shut it off. And he'd be like, "Don't shut it off. Leave it on." And I'm like, "Yeah, but I don't want to hear that." And then when they call, I'm like, "Yeah, I'm here." And I'm like, "Well, just stay on the phone until I start looking.
Mhm.
Y'all can still call the cop."
I think deep down I wanna have a paranormal experience, that's why I investigate, like,
I thought you
maybe
were
I'll
going to say
see
something
something.
else.
Maybe I'll see something.
Cause
Maybe
it,
I'll see something
because
out the
Tony
corner
would
of
be
my
like,
eye.
"I wish somebody would break into this
No,
house."
I don't wanna have experience with a real person. No, a spirit.
He wants an encounter with a real
No,
person.
because he wants to punch somebody in the face. I do
Yeah.
not. My hands are too little to be punching people.
Anyway, one day she heard some thumping around in her attic and went to investigate. She found some makeshift living quarters, a small radio, a hot plate, sleeping bag, pillow, food wrappers, etc. She called the cops who came to keep an eye on the place. They ended up catching a homeless man climbing a tree, trying to sneak into her attic window. He had been doing this almost daily. He would wait for her to go to work, then go downstairs and help himself to food and amenities. The funny part about his story is they got to know each other throughout the ordeal, and the guy was actually very respectful, just down on his luck. She didn't press charges. Instead, let him move in, helped him get a job, and he lived in the attic until he got back on his feet. Creepy shit with a happy ending.
Yeah, that is pretty creepy, but good for her.
Top comment, damn towels in the hamper when she hadn't used any extra dishes in the dishwasher. And that's when she knew she found a keeper housemate.
Mhm. I mean, at least he did his dishes.
And
Now
he put the towel in the hamper.
if she came home to towels on the floor and more dishes in the sink, you gotta go because 'cause you're a fucking mess. You can't even help me and you're living here for free? Get
My
out of
thing
here.
is, it's like you're kind of ballsy putting a damp towel in the hamper.
Yeah.
I think I would have took it upstairs with me to the attic, wait for it to dry, then maybe put it in the hamper because it's like, why is this
Or
wet
maybe
towel
just
here?
throw it in the washing machine, hope, like, she will just
Yeah,
put more
because you
stuff
know
on
you
top of
watched him.
it. Yeah.
He was hopping. He was, what is it called? Frogging?
Mm,
Froggying? When people hop from one place to another and they live in people's attics.
no clue.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a thing where, like, homeless people or kids, teenage kids, who live on the streets,
I mean,
they
I know it's squatting
yeah, but now it has a new word for it.
because 'cause you're moving. Squatting
It's
is staying in that one
frogging.
place.
Yeah. You're frogging, which is because 'cause you're hopping from one place to another, and
Mhm.
and that's the thing, that's the whole point. You only stay for a couple days so that your presence isn't noticed, and then you move on. But, yeah, I'm like, "That's scary," and they're always living in your attic. Mm-mm. We ain't got one, so
We have an attic, but it's not big enough for someone to live in, and it doesn't have a window that you can climb into. You have to go from
oh, a
the
lot of them
ceiling.
don't climb into the window. What they do is they notice when you're going to work, and they will a lot of people leave before their door completely closes, and that's how they get in. They go in through the garage door before it fully closes, because once you interrupt it, it goes back up.
Mhm.
So that's why when Tony leaves, I stand in my garage until that door fully
Yeah. I'm
closes.
in my car and I watch it go down
All the time.
to make
I'm not
sure.
trying to have somebody just military roll underneath my damn
Yeah.
door.
No, no, I
Nope.
always see my door close. And I have a camera since I got a new door
Well,
thing.
my front door has a camera, and then there's a camera in the kitchen that faces the door you would have to come into the house from the garage. So,
Yeah, so I have
we'll
a
be safe.
camera on the garage, so if somebody goes there, it gives me alert that if it's finds movement or whatever. My story is from story of oh no. My husband calling me to tell me his brother killed his parents and that I needed to get the dogs and myself out of the house immediately in case his brother was on his way to our house. I was incredibly fortunate that a neighbor let me hide the dogs in her garage and come in until my husband gave me the all clear to go home. So then someone said, "How did this end?" He also set several fires across town, including his own property and his parents, and then killed himself in a confrontation with the police. So he was mentally ill and had been struggling, so they don't know what, if anything, set him off. It was short, yeah, but it's still scary, like, getting a call like, "Get out of there," because,
I know, I think especially during, like, the pandemic, I think, like, a lot of that was happening a lot, like, people were going on straight killing sprees of their whole family. Because I know I heard a few of those happening during, the vid, where people were like, they found, like, their in-laws and they were all dead, and it was awful, and I'm like, "What is going on?" Like, "You that mad, just do you.
Mhm.
Leave everybody else alone."
Yeah, why does everybody else gotta suffer with you?
Okay. This one is from Deleted. I worked midnight shift at a gas station, and I have for quite a while at various stations in different areas with varying levels of criminal activity. I have regulars, of course. I'm a small statured woman, as is my partner the other half of the week, and we've always been partners. So these regulars often worry about us and keep watch on creepy occurrences when they can. I had one man who worked in the metro an hour away who would stop in every morning for his cigarettes. He never smiled or seemed friendly. And as I often do, I tried to think of what I could do that might make him smile one day. It took many months, but I finally pulled it off by having his cigarettes ready on the counter and already scanned for him to pay for as he walked in. He smiled and then asked me, "Do you ever get scared on the night shift? You small girl is not safe." I said I sometimes did, but we could lock the doors and hide if we had to, and that the provincial police, think state troopers if you're American, had a station close by and came in often to get their highway vehicles washed. I had a good rapport with those police. He nodded and then told me a story about when he first moved to our country from Eastern Europe with his wife and child back in the 80s, early 90s. He fell asleep at work one night at the gas station he worked nights at. When he woke up, the phone had been ringing for hours, and his manager was shaking him violently, asking if he was all right. He was fine, he said. What was the problem? He was sorry he fell asleep. His manager screamed that it was fine he fell asleep to look outside. All their motor oil was missing, and the outside of the place was a mess. The thieves had come and swiped all the oil and left him be because he slept through the entire thing, and then moved down the road to the next station for an encore. At that station, the clerk was awake and fought back. So the thieves stabbed him to death and left him to bleed out. When he finished telling me this, he concluded with, "If you ever feel sleepy, just lock the door and do it. It might save your life." I don't work at the station anymore, but I think about that guy all the time and wonder how his grandkids are.
Yeah, I can't imagine if he was awake, what would happen to him.
And the clerk's killers were finally found 25 years later.
Wow.
This was in Toronto.
Wow.
That is sad. That's sad, and it is scary. Him falling asleep is what saved his life. I remember when I was younger, I always been paranoid. Like, always hyper paranoid. Like, Tony says, I'm such a light sleeper. He's scared to move. And because it'll wake me. And I will always, because I was in the middle room and I had the one window, and the one window faced the yard. And since we had a chain link fence, you could hear a chain link fence open and close. And I would be like, do I hear it open? I will look out my window all the time. And the one day my mom forgot to lock the back door. My neighbor, like the next morning, my neighbor was like, yeah, someone tried to break into our house. I was like, really? He's like, yeah, they were trying the back door, but his dad was in the kitchen. All the lights were off because it was the middle of the night, but his dad went down for a drink. And, sometimes you don't turn the lights on.
Mhm.
So he went and somebody was trying to like break in the back door, and his dad yelled like, hey,
Mhm.
and they like ran off. And all I kept thinking was, if they would have just hit our house where the door was unlocked,
Yeah.
we would have been done. Like, I slept with my door locked, and my mom would be like, why do you sleep with your
We
door
would have been
locked?
dead.
And I'm like, what you mean, why I sleep with my door locked? You crazy, lady?
Yeah,
Shoot.
when I was living by myself with my sister, somebody tried to break into that window where I slept, right the window right next to my bed. And I heard something like trying to open the window, but since it was an old apartment, it was painted shut.
Mm,
And I hear the banging, banging, and I look over and I see a head, like brown hair, curly.
no.
I turned the light on, and I guess he got scared and ran off.
Of course,
I
hopefully.
called my dad, like, "What am I supposed to do?" He's like, "Call the cops." So I called the cops. They came, they checked. They're like, "Yes, somebody was here." The dog got a scent all the way up the street and then, like, around the corner, but then it kinda went away. And since then, I've been a light sleeper because my sister was knocked the fuck out. She didn't hear nothing. So now it's up to me to save both of our lives. So, from then on, I would sleep in the morning because I could not sleep all night.
Oh, okay.
And then it became where I could sleep at night, but I was every sound would wake me up
Yeah.
because I was on, like, high alert all the time. I've been fucked
Wow.
up since then, my sleep.
My sleep's always been because I've always been paranoid. I forgot to close my door, and I don't want to get up to close it. That's what you have kids for. But I always say sorry because I used to hate when my mom would do that. She would literally go upstairs. Like, she was downstairs. She would go upstairs, go to bed. And she'd be like, can you bring me a glass of water? And I'm like, you were literally just down here. And I think it's just an excuse because once I went upstairs and gave her the glass of water while she's laying in bed, she'll be like, can you hand me the remote?
Mhm. And
Why?
turn my light off.
Why wasn't that all settled before you laid your ass down? Okay? I know, sometimes I wish I had them clap on, clap off thing.
Mhm. Okay, I have from Intelligent Island 167, I have cheated death 3 times this year. Number 1, a car accident where a person didn't yield and struck me driver's side. I was airborne for a few seconds and flew over the median into a parking lot and hit a parked car. I walked out, minor bruises, same for the other person. Number 2, at 2 a.m. a couple months ago, carbon monoxide detectors go off in my mom's house. We start opening windows, calling the fire department as we wait outside with 2 dogs. The minute he opens the front door, the detector starts going off like crazy. He said longer than 20 minutes, we all could have died with the amount that was in the basement caused by a problem with the hot water tank. 3, a large patio chair flying out of the back of a pickup truck, which almost smashed my windshield had I not swerved just in time. An angel has my back and is watching out, which I'm grateful for. And then someone goes, "You should do yearly updates so we know you're okay." That's crazy, it's like 9 lives.
That is, I mean, it's never your time.
Yeah,
It's, like, never your time. So your time is you're
like,
meant to live for till an old age.
will definitely not die that year.
Not this year, maybe next
No,
year.
because that happened 3 times in that 1 year. So that year was not that person's time.
Okay, I have one that's from whoever's profile is deleted. But when I was 17, I was hanging out with 2 friends and they wanted to go smoke weed in the woods. I didn't feel like it, so I drove them and waited in the car. After a while, I was getting bored and decided to go meet them, but there were 4 paths going off in different directions. So I just took the biggest one. After walking for a few minutes in the pitch black forest, before flashlights on phones, damn, I came across this dip in the trail, and on the other side was a bench, lightly visible due to the moonlight. On the bench is sitting a man, and another one is standing in front of him, but I can only make out silhouettes. Being sure these are my friends, I yell out to them before walking over. If you ever walked the woods at night, it's just as uneasy feeling all around, so I was cautious to begin with. Well, it turns out, just after yelling out to my friends, both silhouettes turned towards me. Not a word, not a sound. The guy sitting down starts sprinting full fucking speed towards me in complete silence. I got the I got the absolute fuck out of there, sprinting also the other way and tripped over shit because I couldn't see anything. I finally get out and lock myself in my car, but I was really worried for my friends. Maybe a minute later, I see them both coming out of a completely different path. They also confirmed they never saw me or anyone else. My heart still sinks just thinking about that dude sprinting in silence. What the fuck was that shit?
I think probably just to scare them.
I don't know. No. I think they were probably doing something sketchy and the guy sitting down probably got scared, but still somebody sprinting full speed at me at that no, I'm not walking the woods at night. Tony likes to do stuff like that. Like, we'll, like, gather the whole family, and he'll be like, "Let's go walk the trail in the woods at midnight with everyone having a flashlight." And I'm like, "You are trying to get us murdered."
Yeah.
And we did it. And he had it his brother was all excited, his brother came, and my sister-in-law, their son, his other son. I'm like, "Why are we out here? You're killing me." I'm like, "No, this is not who we are." Okay?
It's who he is, it's not who you are.
I watch too many scary movies, okay? I know I'm gonna live to the end.
Yeah.
Y'all can take him first, all you want. And let me take my child with me, cause y'all killing
Yeah,
me with
you don't have to outrun the killer, you just gotta outrun him.
that. Man, the baby will slow me down.
Ugh. Well, you both have to outrun Tony.
Somebody
That's it.
else,
Yeah.
yeah.
Somebody whoever took you there, whoever's idea it was, they're going down first. So from this name I can't even say, I have no clue. I grew up thinking my house was haunted. Weird shit would happen all of the time. I'd walk into rooms and lights would turn on. I'd go to the kitchen in the middle of the night and cupboards would be open. I'd hear footsteps upstairs when I was home alone. I'd feel the ghost sit down on the bed while I was trying to sleep. You know, typical haunting stuff that would freak any kid out. Then I had a stalker that started getting weird when I was in my late teens. Turns out much worse than I could have imagined. The stalker was actually a peeping Tom that had been watching me since I was possibly as young as 7. As it turns out, there was no ghost and the house wasn't haunted. The psycho was breaking in when I was home alone and fucking with me as a little kid. As I got older, he got more bold. He'd come in at night when my parents were home and even sit on my bed while I was trying to sleep. Pretty sure he found where my mom stashed the extra key and just made a copy. Never caught the guy. Cops said it was just some high school boy making jokes. I've had lots of therapy.
No, don't say is that I don't understand just some high school guy making jokes.
No, it says here a high schooler making jokes is when they toilet paper your house like one time, not break into your house and just roam around over a decade.
Yeah.
This kid, he was this person was as young as 7 years old, and this person was sitting on their bed while they were
Contem
sleeping,
yes, he was sitting on his bed contemplating killing him. I don't wanna hear that.
or doing some
So,
pedo shit.
like,
Why are you a peeping tom to a little child to a
I
child?
the you know what it is? It's older people, older generational people were like, "Oh, boys will be boys," or "They're just playing around," or "They're just joking." Let me tell you something, okay? A joke is one yeah, like you said, toilet papering somebody's house, I don't know, leaving a bag of poop on somebody's doorstep and they step on it when they come out, like,
Yeah,
something stupid like that. Not you breaking in my house and sleeping on the and sitting on the corner of my bed while I sleep?
yeah. He's
No.
contemplating on committing more than just killing, like, to this kid. Like,
And then my thing
that's
is, like
scary shit.
I know, and then, like, as a kid, the parents I don't know, I'm like I said, if the baby came to me, I'm always believing, and I'm like, "'Cause how did she not change
Well,
the lock?"
this person thought it was a ghost, not an actual person breaking in, you know what I mean? So, it does
Yeah.
sound like a haunting, but it wasn't. It was an actual person doing this, following them around the house. Why are you leaving your 7-year-old alone in a house?
Well, did he say he was alone?
Yeah,
Oh, why are you leaving
it
your
said
seven-year-old?
It said, "The psycho was breaking in when I was home alone and fucking with me as a little kid." Exactly. Why did she
Listen,
not have a babysitter?
listen, when I was 16, I ain't like being alone, okay? I remember when my grandma passed and my mom and my sister, like, everyone left, they all flew to the funeral, but, like, she was like, she didn't have enough for all of us to go.
Mhm.
So I had to stay home, and I was like and I'm 16, and I'm like, "Who gonna stay with me?"
Yeah, right?
I'm like, "Who's staying here with me?" And she was like, "Oh, we called such and such, and they're gonna come stay with you." I was like, "Okay, because I know you wasn't gonna leave me here by myself, okay?" I didn't stay by myself till I was, like, 21, okay? No. And
That's
then
when you
even
moved out.
exactly when I moved out, and then even then, I'm like, "Who's spending the night at my house?"
Mm-mm.
No. Even, like, when Tony like, if Tony went camping and I didn't wanna go, or when Tony came here and I was still in Philly, I'll call my sister. I'm like, can your baby come over here and stay with me? I know she can't protect me, but, I just don't wanna be by myself."
Yeah, you have another body with you.
So my niece was always there, literally. I was like, "Thank you." But no, that's crazy. Even my baby, and me and Tony wanna do, like, a date night. I'm like, "Well, we can't be out too late. I don't care that the boy is 15. We need to be home by 10 o'clock, the latest. It's dark outside."
Yeah.
Anyway, alright, my story. My college girlfriend called me one night. The Baton Rouge serial killer had been active a while, and she was being followed all over town, even after going in circles, by a white truck, which the killer supposedly drove. She fit the victim profile. She was brunette, living in a wealthy neighborhood, house sitting for her aunt. My roommate and I drove over and we filed in line behind her and the truck. She lived essentially on the LSU grounds, so I assumed it was a stupid student prank or something. She parked at her aunt's house. Truck stops one house short of her aunt, and we pull in behind her. I explain I'm going to go defuse the situation. I walk over to the truck. The FBI says the killer is a white guy. This man is African American. I explain no one is upset, but he's freaking out my girlfriend. He needs to leave. He looks side eyed at me and drives off. I see the guy again a few months later on the cover of the Baton Rouge paper. He's been arrested. He was the killer.
Wow.
So she was actually being followed by the serial killer because they got the race wrong. I think a lot of times people do think like serial killers are white because the most notorious ones are white. But I think, yeah, they never put like it could be anybody else.
Yeah, anybody can be a serial killer.
Because if you think the Night Stalker and the other one, and I think the game show serial killer, they were both Spanish.
Mhm.
And then you got that one, the highway shooter, African American too. But
Okay, I got from Squidgy. When someone broke into my house when I was 10, me and my mom lived alone with my little sister apart from on weekends when my stepdad slept over because my mom wanted me to get used to him. Of course, the night he just so happened not to stay over, this happens. We always double checked. We still do, locking the door because of my anxiety. And of course, my mom forget to do that day. Anyways, getting to the point, it was 12 a.m. and my mom came through to me and my little sister's room and she said, "There's a man in the house." And of course, my 10-year-old brain was like, "Oh shit, we're gonna die." My mom told me not to panic, but of course I got panicked because I was 10. She sat on my bed whispering to me, trying to calm me down. She phoned my stepdad first. He wouldn't answer. She hates my sister's dad, but she was so desperate for help, she phoned him and he wouldn't answer. After that, we phoned the police and turns out the guy was just drunk and came into the wrong house. He lived in an apartment next to ours and he mistaken my house for this. I do feel bad for the guy and he wasn't a threat at all, but it was horrifying. It must have been embarrassing when he woke up the next day. That is scary. Even
yeah,
if he was drunk and he got the wrong house, I mean, that's still scary because the people that are living there, they don't know who you are. They just hear the door open and someone broke in and someone could literally bring a gun down, you know what I mean? And that's it.
that happened actually. That happened once. Actually to a kid, a teenage kid who went to a high school party, house party, and he was drinking and he was stumbling home and he ended up going to I guess there were people that just moved in next door to them
Mhm.
and he stumbled into their house by accident and the husband who lived there was like, "Hey," and he's like, "You're like, what are you doing here?" And he was like, "This is like my house." And he just straight shot him. And it was a 16-year-old kid.
Wow.
And he's like, "Well, I thought he was trying to break in." And then everyone was like, "It was a 16-year-old kid with no weapons stumbling. You didn't ask questions.
Mhm.
And you said that he thought he was home. That didn't make you like maybe turn a light on and be like, "Hey kid, you're in the wrong house." Like
Yeah.
benefit of the doubt. You're a big guy. And I'm like, that's crazy. Everyone's like, "Well, how did he stumble in the wrong house?" And he's like, every house, especially like in
And the
the
row homes,
suburbs.
they all look alike.
They even in the suburbs, all the houses do look the same. They're all
Um,
like
not in my area, but like
you don't live in an HOA. In an HOA neighborhood, they all look the same.
yeah, like, I'm thinking about people that have row homes that are the houses are basically connected to each
No,
other. They
these
all
were
look alike.
this was like singular homes,
Oh,
but
oh,
they were
HOA,
close.
yeah, they all have to be the same, yeah.
Yeah.
Their lawns gotta look the same, everything's gotta look the same. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure if I lived in that, I would go to the wrong house by mistake. I know once, Jay's aunt came over here to visit us, but she went next door by mistake, and she always has a habit of just walking in. So she just literally just walked into their house like, "Hey," and then she looked at them, they looked at her, she's like, "I think I'm in the wrong house," and they're like, "Okay," she's like, "Bye," and then she came over
No,
here, and she's like, "Oh my god, I went to the wrong house."
I've seen a few TikToks like that where it's people's, front door cams, and they're like, "Hey, I'm here, let me in," and then they're, like, looking, and then they realize, "Oh, shit, I'm at the wrong house," and they're like,
No, she
"Sorry,"
walked
and it
into their living room,
no,
like
one I saw one where the lady was trying to open the door, but it was locked because,
Uh-huh.
people should lock their front doors.
We don't. We keep like, I have my door open all day because it's nice out, I want the fresh air to come in, but yeah, she walked in, the guy was laying on his couch, and they're all just looking at each other like, hello?" And she's like, "Oh, I have the wrong house."
You
It was
know?
so funny.
Now, I usually keep the front door is always locked, and then it's funny because Tony and the baby will yell at me because, I'm always letting the dogs out in the back, and they always, like, trip they lock every door and every lock on those doors, and I'm like, "Why do y'all keep doing that?" They're like, "Somebody can come and get you." I'm
What,
like,
from the back
"Listen."
door?
Yeah, from the back door because they can
We
come
have
into
a
the
fence?
Yeah, I have a fence. You were here.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, like, how is someone
Nah, they think somebody gonna come in through the fence and then come in through the one door and then the other door. I'm like, "There's listen, it's complicated to get to our back door."
Yeah, I don't know, someone really has to be crazy to do that much hard work just to break into someone's house, but yeah, I have my front doors open, my back doors open, I mean, shit, we live on the edge.
Okay, this next story is from Gotta BKD and G Me. Well, it's my story. When I was a little kid, 5 or 6, we had this neighbor like grandma to me. I'd go over and have snacks, and she had a Mr. Potato Head I played with that was her now adult son's toy. Weird core memories. He came home in his 20s from the army, I think. I don't remember much about him, but he asked about taking my older brothers camping, but my mom said no. She had a weird feeling about him. Side note, we lived out in the country, not even a town, just a place. There were no locked doors. Everyone trusted each other. My mom saw him at our little store with bee stings all over and was concerned. He said he got them at the creek. She thought that that was weird because that's just not a thing where we went all the time. But okay. A little while later, not sure how long, the news said there was a murder of some campers out past where we lived. No leads. People were shocked. This doesn't happen here. My mom remembered her weird feeling and the bee stings that didn't make sense. She called the police to say it's probably nothing, but here's what I got. I remember a detective coming to our house to talk to her. They had some other evidence that matched, but not enough to link him to the murder. A couple with their child. It's unsolved to this day, though the detective said he knew it was him. A few years later, the guy went to prison for an abduction attempted murder of a woman who ran out of gas and he offered her a ride. She lived, thank God. That's crazy. That's crazy because I feel like cops can fixate on a suspect
Mhm.
and completely ignore, like, other clues, but to, like, know you might actually have the guy, but you don't have enough evidence, like, you absolutely can't do anything
Yeah.
is wild to me. Also crazy that he killed this couple and their child while camping, and he wanted to take this boy's older brothers camping. Like, why? Is it
Yeah.
I either think either he wanted to kill them, but then I feel like he wouldn't be able to get away with it, but if he wanted to, like, maybe do some type of weird type of game of hurting other people and see engaging how they would feel about that, that's creepy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, "That's." I
You gotta
mean,
trust your instincts, man.
I'm not saying I want that type of experience, but I'm just saying if that type of experience happened to me, I am selling it everywhere. I want a book deal. I want a movie. I want
Yeah,
a
but
TV special.
can you make it into a whole book?
Yes.
You
Yes, it
leaving in the
depends.
middle of dinner because you got a bad vibe from this guy. Can you make that into a whole book?
Yes. The way he asked me out on a date, when he picked me. Yes. What are you talking about?
That sounds like one page.
No,
I
it's
don't know.
not. No, it's not. No. Imma talk about my whole backstory,
Yeah, your whole life
thinking I
growing up,
finally yeah, then I found out
always trusting your instincts and
then
then,
Imma talk
like
about how this guy asked me out, and, like,
mhm.
how I think I found the one, and then We go on a date a couple days later, and I wasn't feeling the vibe. Yo, it's a whole ass book. Stop.
And then his whole part is the second half
Yes,
of how
yes.
he
And then
committed
how
all
he
these
got
murders,
yep,
yeah.
and then how he got caught.
Okay,
Yeah,
I give it to you. I'll
girl.
give you the whole book, yeah.
At least, 150 pages, come on now. It
I
might be
mean,
a
yeah,
small
short
book,
story,
but
yeah, short story book, yeah.
yes, and,
The ones that you can read, like, the whole night, you
and it'll
finish
be
it.
called The One That Got Away.
Yes, me.
I cannot. This one's from Sad Difficulty 2303. Something weird happened to me, more scary in a what could have been kind of way. So, not on the same scale of some people. I was 17 years old, male, and walking home from a night out, quite drunk and stoned about 2 a.m. I'm in a lonely part of my walk. No people, few cars, just a road and some large shops, a B&Q, and a carpet showroom. Out of town shopping complexes that have since become ubiquitous in the UK. Anyway, in a lay-by about 15 feet away in a silver car pulled up, lights on, as I stumbled past two men stepping out and called me over. Something about the situation immediately sobered me up. I kept walking, and one of them shouted, "It's fine. We are the police. We will drive you home." I stopped for a moment and replied with some smart ass comment along the lines of how police could never do this and that they were dodgy. Calling them dodgy always sticks in my mind. He insists I'm too drunk and it's not safe for a young man like me, and I should let them take me home. I say no, and he then tells me to come over here and listen to the police radio in the car to prove they are real police. It's weird. The guy is almost begging me, desperation in his voice. I repeat a firm no. Tell them I'm fine and keep walking. Minute I'm out of sight, I run as fast as I can and don't relax until the 30 minutes later I'm home. I can only assume they didn't manhandle me into the car because there was a very occasional taxi driving post. I'm 45 now and occasionally think about how that could have ended for me. None of the scenarios seem good. Sadly, stories like this are probably more routine for women, but at the time, it was really shocking to me. I used to and I tell Tony this, actually, I think we were literally talking about this the other day. I was ballsy as shit because I used to walk home at 2:30 in the morning from my friend's house to my mom's house, and that was a 25-minute walk on the boulevard. And there was because my mind was, I think 20 minutes of the walk is all on the boulevard, which is an expressway.
Mhm.
So it's well lit and you're seen. There are always plenty of cars on the expressway. It's not dead. But then I would have to turn to then go towards my neighborhood. And then once I literally hit that turn, it's dead.
Mhm.
There's nothing. And that's when I would be like, pull my phone out, act like I'm talking to somebody. Hey, yeah, I'm
Mhm.
almost there. Yeah, I'll be there in a minute.
Yeah, me and my
My
sisters
knife.
yeah, me and my sisters would do that shit. 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, we'd be like, "Do you want hot chocolate? Yeah, let's go walk to 7-Eleven," and we would walk, and it would be like a 15-minute walk, just on the street to 7-Eleven, get hot
Doing that
chocolate,
doing
go
that now sounds
yeah.
crazy. It
Yes,
was
it
like,
does.
what were we made of?
We
Because
walked all the time, and it didn't matter what time of day it was, like
nope, nope. One time I was walking home from, um, my other job when I worked at the gym on the days that I was off from the main one, and I'm walking, and I'm noticing, "Wait, somebody's following me." Because the way I walk, there's so many turnoffs to go to the same location, but I specifically walk a certain way so I could pass my sister's and my sister-in-law's house. So but I could have turned off any street to get to my destination to get home. But I always walk to the same and I kinda started walking faster so this person could be further behind me, and then my sister wasn't home, so I just kept going, and I hit my sister-in-law's house, and I knew she was home because she was on the porch, and my with my niece, and I was like, "Hey!" And I noticed that the guy was, like, walking slowly, but then he saw I wasn't alone, so then he just kept going,
Mm.
and I was like and she's like, "What's wrong?" I said, "That guy was following me." She's like, "Why didn't you tell me? I would have messed him up. Let that guy follow you again." I was like, "Relax, relax." She's like, "Girl, don't be like I would have beat him up, but let me go get my bat." I was like, "Oh my god." And I was like and that was the only time because I used to walk to that job, and that was like a 25-minute walk too. And yeah, I used to walk to that job only on Saturdays because I was the morning shift. So, I would walk in the morning and I would walk back in the afternoon. But my night shift stuff, somebody would always pick me up because I couldn't walk. My mom wasn't letting me walk at like 9, 10 o'clock at night from that place.
Okay, this is a paragraph, but it's crazy shit. 5 members of my family dying 5 minutes apart from each other, almost all in different ways. My uncle died from a heart attack when kissing my aunt. My cousin hit a tree when driving away. My grandma had a stroke. My aunt in the hospital died of cancer. She was far away but still died in the 5 minutes. And my younger cousin had an asthma attack. This was all on Thanksgiving. The tree my cousin hit was next to our house. My aunt is in therapy and my cousin died because his mom thought he was faking it and doesn't believe in asthma or stuff like that. That's some crazy shit. How are you gonna think your kid is faking an asthma attack and they
Are you
just die?
serious?
Yes.
Wait, was it
This
5
was
minutes
3
after another or within the same 5 minutes?
5 minutes apart from each other.
So, like, 5 like, 6
Like my
o'clock,
uncle
one died.
like
At
my uncle died of a heart
6:05
attack, yeah, kissing my aunt, and then the cousin hits the tree 5 minutes after, then while he's driving away, then the grandma had a stroke 5 minutes after, then the aunt dies in the hospital of cancer,
No, that
and then
sounds
the
like y'all
younger
was
cousin had an asthma attack and died because his mother, I guess, didn't believe in asthma and thought he was faking it.
that sound like some cursed stuff, like,
That
y'all family
is.
was cursed within 5 minutes of each other?
5
But
members of
no,
your family die?
no, there are people who don't believe in asthma. So, I was reading a Reddit story the other day, and it was talking about a girl in high school that they got a new teacher,
Mhm,
and she has, this girl has it's very bad asthma, like, she loses her breath, she needs her pump every day,
mhm.
and she keeps her emergency pump in her book bag, and they got a new teacher, and the teacher came in, and she's like, "She's not here for the dramatics and no talking out of turn," like, this hard-ass teacher, and the girl's sitting there, she's doing her work quietly, she pulls out her pump, takes it. Asthma pumps don't make a lot of noise, you barely hear it, and she put it away. After class, the teacher was like, "I'm not here for that dramatics, don't do that again." And she was like, "I need my pump." And she's like, "No, I think you're dramatic and you don't need your pump." And it was like a couple days later, and she felt her chest tighten and she was so scared to take her pump out because of what the teacher was saying, but she couldn't hold it anymore. So she took her pump out. But because she waited so long, she started to shake. And the teacher came, saw the pump in her hand, snatched the asthma pump out of her hand. She told her she didn't need this and stopped faking it. Well, the classmate, like, well, somebody was in there, they're like, "Her lips are turning blue," and she's like, "She's just faking it." To come find they that the students ran to the nurse to get the nurse. The nurse asked where her asthma pump is, and they were like that she put it in her desk. She went to go grab it from the teacher's desk. Why did she stomp on it and broke the cartridge so it
Wow.
can't pump before she put it in her desk? They finally called an ambulance. She died twice in the ambulance. Thank God all the classrooms had cameras.
Mhm.
She she was fired and her parents sued her for, like, child endangerment and
Yeah.
all this stuff, and she can never teach again. And I'm like, I get there's people I don't know, actually, I don't. I don't get when people don't believe in certain things. Like,
Yeah, number 1, you're not a medical professional, and it's not your child.
and you
She's
know
not vaping, she's not she's not
what? If you don't believe, you don't believe. But if I believe, then I believe. Like, you can't tell
Exactly.
me, like, to tell somebody they can't use their asthma pump because they're faking having asthma and they're being
And you're
dramatic
faking turning
is
your lips
wild.
blue? Yeah. That's crazy shit.
Because some people are fucking weirdos. It's time to open the deck and see what messages the cards hold for us this week, whether it's a warning, a whisper, or a revelation from the unknown. This is your tarot card of the week. So this week's tarot card is the Six of Cups upright. Revisiting the past, childhood memories, innocence, joy. The Six of Cups upright is a card that takes you back to the happy memories from your past, whether as a child, a teenager, or a young adult. You may simply be revisiting those memories in your mind, or you may travel back to your childhood home or reconnect with your childhood friends. You could go to a high school reunion or reconnect with an old buddy. A teenage sweetheart or a past lover may turn up again. These connections bring you a sense of joy and happiness as you reminisce over all the fun times you had together. Take this occasion to explore whether you still have a lot in common and if you wish to continue the relationship now. It often shows an increased level of harmony and cooperation in your relationships. You are ready to give and receive without expectation. You are also willing to give each other the benefit of the doubt. Having moved on from the challenging emotions of the Five of Cups, it's time to turn over a new leaf and start afresh from a more positive place.
That's not bad.
It's not bad, but it's funny because I have been thinking, like, this week, a lot of my childhood and even dreaming a lot of, like, my mom's home and, like, being back in high school and dreams like that. So it's kind of weird that it's like, because that feels like a card from the past week that I've had, not the week I'm going to have.
I mean, as long as it's full of harmony and happiness, it's fine.
Yeah, which is nice. I mean, I'm not sure if I really wanna visit the past. I don't need nobody from my past popping up like, "Hey, I'm
Mhm.
good. Listen, the only past person I got in my life is you, and that's it."
Yeah, but if it visits, it's somebody that you had a good time with. That's what the card is saying. So someone that, didn't give you good feelings is not gonna pop up.
I don't
It's
know.
all about harmony and
But what if okay, but what if I that was in the past. I don't need nobody popping up. I don't need nobody oh my god, what if, like, somebody from our past, like, listens to the podcast and leaves, like, a message and then they don't know? They don't know who we are, but we can read from the
oh,
comments that we
yeah,
know who they
right.
are? That'd be so creepy. Don't do that to me.
Yeah. Yeah, because even we were having, lunch today, and then Jay's like, "Oh, would you go back to being 13 years old if you had the choice?" I said, My regular life as a child, no. I like my life now, how it is. But if I could have a completely different life with no trauma, perfect parents, great life, freedom, you know, a lot of opportunities. Yes, of course, I would go back to being 13 years old and make it maybe thousands of different choices.
Mm,
But my regular childhood, absolutely not. I will never go back to that. No way. Fucking
uh,
trauma city.
but why 13?
Yeah, I don't know. So
That's
it just said 13.
13 is nothing, okay? 16,
13,
21.
yeah, you just become a teenager, you're still in, like, what, middle school? 8th grade or something?
Yeah.
It's yeah. Yeah, maybe 16, you just get your license or just becoming of age, 18 years old, but 13, I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe
13
maybe
is
because you still have your innocence, maybe?
you go with your innocence for a very long time. It's just 13 is such a random number. 13 is when I got boy crazy. I thought every boy was cute,
Oh, yeah, I had
even the
crushes.
ugly ones. And I don't know
Yeah,
what
I had so many crushes, like,
I was like, "Oh, he cute. Does he think I'm
"Oh
cute?"
my
No.
god, I wanna talk to him."
Calm your ass down. Go back in
Right.
the house.
That's why I wasn't allowed to sit on the front porch. I had to
That's
back
why I
porch
wasn't
only.
and that's why I wasn't allowed to leave the porch. I was allowed
Yeah, I
to
wasn't
sit.
allowed I had to sit in the back porch where there was no cars driving, no people walking. You wanna sit outside there.
Well, that didn't help me at all because I wasn't allowed to leave the front porch steps, but then my mom was talking about, "Oh my god, sitting on cement, you're gonna get hemorrhoids."
Alright.
So, leaving the front and where did we spend most of our time? In the backyard.
No, all the girls had a crush on the ice cream man, Mr. Softy, the Mr. Softy guy. So every time he came by, all the girls had their dollar, and I'm like, "Oh my god, he's so cute." And one time I asked him, I said, "Do you have a girlfriend?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm engaged." I'm like, "No."
Was he
But I
Puerto
got the
Rican?
guts. No, he was Arabic.
That's so funny. Our Mr. Softy guy was Puerto Rican. Now,
Ours was
if you got
Arabic.
the Mr. Frosty truck, it was always some old, weird, creepy looking people.
No, it was the Mr. Softy, like the Mr. Softy with the soft serve on his head.
Yeah. No, we had Mr. Softy, and then we had the knockoff that also came around, which was Mr. Frosty.
No, we didn't have knockoff. We had Mr. Softy, and then we had a regular ice cream truck with, like, bars and stuff.
Oh, no, 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 no.
And then we had the ones with the cone and the soft serve and then the dips, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Nah, we
that's
all
so
waited for
funny.
Mr. Softy. We're like, "Oh my god, it's time, it's 1:00."
No, we all waited for Mr. Softy because he had the best ice cream. I'm like,
Yeah, he
he
did have
always
the best ice cream.
must have been
Fucking
like, "Their ice
chocolate
cream
dip.
tastes funny." I never got a dip. I always got a chocolate ice cream with chocolate jimmies. Did y'all call them jimmies too? Or did y'all call
Sprinkles
them?
for rainbows, Jimmy's for chocolate. The 2 different names.
Mm.
You can't
Yeah,
call the rainbow ones Jimmy's too, because when I Jimmy's, I think chocolate.
which is funny because Jimmy's for sprinkles, I think is only,
The
like a try,
rainbows.
but
There's a rainbow sprinkles,
no one
and then
calls them Jimmy's. They call them
no.
all sprinkles. I think Jimmy's is like a tri-state area, New
Mhm,
York, New Jersey, not even Pennsylvania, mainly Philly.
mhm.
We all call them Jimmy's. No one else calls it that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I was like, "They're Jimmy's. I want some
They're
Jimmy's." And
Jimmy's, yeah.
they're like, "What? You want sprinkles?"
No, sprinkles are the rainbow ones. Excuse me. Get your shit right. That's it for tonight's dive into the darker side of real life. We hope these stories kept you on edge and maybe a little more cautious.
If you enjoyed tonight's episode, don't forget to follow Shadowkeepers and leave a review. Your support keeps the shadows alive.
And if you've got a chilling story of your own, send it our way. You might just hear it featured here.
Until next time, stay vigilant, stay awake, stay aware, and your eyes on the shadows, because not all shadows are harmless. Okay,
Bye.
bye. Now I want ice cream.